What's going on, 49er faithful, 49er fan, 49er gang? This is your boy Niner Gang Podcast back in the building. So definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications so I can keep you up to date on any and everything San Francisco 49ers. With that being said, let's get right on into it, man. I know I've been missing in action and I haven't really done a lot. Be honest with y'all, man, new job keeps me busy. Lots of studying, lots of things I got to figure out, lots of understanding. So, I appreciate y'all hanging with your boy and sticking with me through, my little hiatus as there's not much to talk about when it comes to football. But I did want to go ahead and bring up, one of the things that we should talk about, in the meantime, in between time, is our quarterbacks in our division and how they rank. We all know who the starters are. We all know who the backups are. But if you're going to go ahead and give a ranking, from start to finish, to be honest with you, it's very simple. In our division, you're going to put Matt Stafford first. I know a lot of 49er fans will be like, yo, he fell off, this, that, and the third. At the end of the day, Matt Stafford is the most tenured and the smartest quarterback out of all the quarterbacks in our division. Secondly, I'm going to go ahead and give that to Brock Purdy. I guarantee you people would probably look at me and go, why wouldn't you give it to someone else? But at the end of the day, I got to ride with Purdy. Brock has shown so much to the world that it's hard to deny, even though we got the deniers. You've got the people out there that are going to hate on Purdy. They don't like him. They don't want to see him win. They don't want anything. But at the end of the day, I can tell you right now, it's a situation where Brock Purdy is at minimum number 2, and he's knocking on that door to be number 1. But, we have to eventually get that job done and get it finished. So, third, it's a real toss-up. Manny Shavers, what's happening with you folks? But third, I'd have to go ahead and give that over to Geno Smith. We don't really like the Seahawks here. We really don't care for them at all. But at the end of the day, you'll give it up to, those guys because, hey, Geno Smith is a 10-year vet, and Kyler Murray hasn't really shown us much. He hasn't even made playoffs. At least Geno has done that much. Now a lot of people will say, hey, maybe this is due to, his defense or this or that. But at the end of the day, you've got to go ahead and give Geno his respect, for at least being able to make the playoffs. Kyler Murray's never been there. What's going on, man? I agree with you. Definitely too many pick sixes. I don't like any of his stats and his numbers and whatnot. But, we can definitely talk about it. And then when you look at everybody's quarterback room, now that is going to be, a bit of an experience here. So let's go ahead and take a look at our quarterback room. And when you take a look at it, we got Brock Purdy, we have Josh Dobbs, we have Brandon Allen, and we've got Tanner Mordecai. So at the end of the day, hopefully you guys can see that. We all know Mordecai is most likely going to be our practice squad guy. That right off the bat. The backup is going to be between Joshua Dobbs and or Brandon Allen. Now, Allen has the edge because he was here last year, so he had the time to be able to come in and learn the playbook. Joshua Dobbs just got here. He's still got a lot to learn. But on top of that, Joshua Dobbs, y'all know how I feel about Kyle Shanahan and black quarterbacks. It's just something that does not work out. I know a lot of people don't like when I say that, but I'm truthful. I don't play around, and I don't really care, that people think that I'm biased because of such. At the end of the day, Kyle has a track record with black quarterbacks, and it's not necessarily the best. So, would I anticipate that Joshua Dobbs would be able to change that narrative? Probably not. You know why? He's never going to see the field. Brock Purdy is a relatively healthy kind of guy, which is what you want as with someone playing the biggest position in football. So, to be completely honest with you, I would say our quarterback room is going to shape out to be Brock Purdy, Brandon Allen, Josh Dobbs as the third guy, and Tanner Mordecai sitting on the bench. I think that would probably be the best thing for us, and that would be the case. So we do have that, but we do have other quarterback rooms to speak about. So let's see what they got with the Arizona Cardinals. Because literally all I know is Kyler Murray. I know nothing of anyone else there. So let's see what the Cardinals do have as far as that is concerned. Um, let's see here. So Cardinals currently have Kyler Murray, Desmond Ridder, Clayton Tune. So not really sure about who Clayton Tune is. Do know who Desmond Ridder is. He used to be with the Atlanta Falcons, of course. They let him go because they went ahead and spent their money on Kirk Cousins and then drafted a QB in the first round and had Arthur Blank looking at them going, what the fuck are you doing? But it is what it is. So they've got a nice little QB room, but, Desmond Ridder ain't done nothing to wow anyone. He had little flashes, but nothing crazy. We all know who Kyler Murray is. As our ex-49er, DeForest Buckner, referred to him as, a little squirrel that runs around back there. Yeah, I see Kyler there, but I'm not going to give much credence to Kyler Murray. He's all right at best. He did get him a nice new receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. So, you definitely will hope that he can make a good connection with him because there's no more DeAndre Hopkins. So you'll see Marvin Harrison Jr. and Hollywood Brown. So be honest with you, you can see those guys, and that's not a lot. You kind of look at that and go, it's all right. It's not anything fantastic, but it's okay. So the next guy is up. We'll take a look at the Lamb Chops. Now, we all know that the Lamb Chops have Matthew Stafford, who I gave number 1 to as far as our division. He's got Stetson Bennett, and we got some guy named Win Dresser. And they do also have Jimmy Garoppolo, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think that they cut him or anything, so maybe this just wasn't updated properly. But I do believe Jimmy is there. So if Jimmy's there, most likely he's going to be the immediate backup. These other guys that we're speaking in reference to, your Stetson Bennett and your Dresser Wins. Dresser Wins probably going to be the Rams practice squad guy, and Stetson Bennett's most likely going to be the third quarterback. As much as we don't care for Jimmy Garoppolo here with the 49ers, we do understand that, hey, he did the job while he could. Kyle masked a lot of his deficiencies, but at the end of the day, Jimmy did okay. Now, when he left, there was nobody to mask his deficiencies, and the real Jimmy Garoppolo stood up and showed who he was. The only benefit for Jimmy is that he's back. He's with Sean McVay. Sean McVay runs a version of Kyle Shanahan's system, so it's a little easier to understand for him. But as far as Matthew Stafford goes, we'll see what happens this season. We hope he lasts and he actually can get through the season, but you never know. You know what I'm saying? So there's not much to really go on. Matthew Stafford definitely is the guy. There's no quarterback competition in that room. And then lastly, we'll go ahead and we'll touch on the Seattle Seahawks. And we'll talk about them really quick and see what they have as far as their quarterback room and their depth. So right now they got Geno Smith. They've got Sam Howell. And we've got P.J. Walker. Now, we know who P.J. Walker is. Definitely know who Sam Howell is. He used to be with the Washington Commanders. So no more. Who was the guy they used to have that came from Denver? His name escapes me right now. But either way, you don't have Drew Lock. That was his name, Drew Lock. Yeah. So no Drew Lock. So you obviously see that the order is there. That's probably going to be it. They may most likely bring in another guy for training camp, just, to have somebody out there throwing, with the practice squad guys and things of that nature. But I think it's kind of obvious. Geno Smith, your starter. Sam Howell's your backup. So these are all the things that have been going on as far as the Seattle Seahawks are concerned. So this is going to be just a short video. It's just talking about the guys that we normally have as far as that is concerned. And just to be honest with you, it's a simple situation. You've got 4 quarterbacks in the division. All of them are definitely looking to be as great as they can be, but you only have really two that are going to be the cream of the crop, and that's going to be Matthew Stafford and Brock Purdy. They're going to be fighting for the supremacy of the best quarterback in that division. I doubt that you're going to have a quarterback, like Geno Smith or Kyler Murray actually fighting for the top spot in the NFC West. Brock Purdy is expected to reset the quarterback market next year and get himself a nice chunk of change, especially if they make a deep playoff run, if they get to the NFC Championship, or they, wind up making the Super Bowl and actually winning it for a change. Get that job done, Kyle. That definitely would be something a little bit different to be able to see that, because if he wins the Super Bowl, his price is only going to skyrocket. If we wind up kind of losing in the NFC Championship or one of the divisional rounds or something to that effect, then yeah, we probably don't have to worry too much about the price. But yeah, Brock goes out and wins the Super Bowl, that number jumps up pretty significantly high. And unlike the situation with Brandon Ayuk, we cannot play around with Brock Purdy and play around with his money. This can't be one of those things where we're sitting there dicking around, with Brock Purdy and trying to pay him like we are with BA, like we did with Kittle, like we did with Fred Warner, like we did with Debo. All these guys, we can't wait until the last minute to pay Brock Purdy. If they're going to pay him, they're going to need to know exactly what's going on. So basically, they're probably going to say to themselves, hey, we're making the playoffs. We know that'll probably keep the number up there a little bit. But at the end of the day, what can we do to keep the number low enough so that we don't wind up having to have too many cap casualties, because there will be some. Whenever a quarterback gets paid, typically there are cap casualties, strictly based on the fact that the team doesn't have enough money to allocate to everyone. You're going to have those guys that are highest paid and whatnot. I've heard Trent Williams wants another contract and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you're looking at this point right now to get Brandon Ayuk paid, because if not, you're kind of screwing yourself. You can do the 49ers have the leverage? Yes. They can let him play on his fifth year. They can franchise tag him for 2 more years and then send him out there into free agency and let him do whatever he wants to do. But at the end of the day, Brandon has expressed a genuine interest in staying here. He just wants his $30 million because that's what the market is calling for. And basically, we took too long. The 49ers, unfortunately, did not necessarily jump on this when they should have. They could have paid him early, and then it wouldn't have cost them as much, and it would have been easier. And then he might have been bitching about a pay raise. But at the end of the day, hey, you're locked into this new contract. No reason for us to be worried about that. But you gave CMC his money. You gave Juwan Jennings his money. You know what I'm saying? You're taking care of those guys. And Brandon Ayuk has still not been taken care of. So that's definitely alarming. We want to be careful with that. And we want to make sure that we get him his bread. But as far as for this video, that's pretty much it. When you look at everybody and you look at the body of work and what they've done, yes, Brock Purdy is riding high. He's the guy right now. Matthew Stafford and the Rams have not been the same since that Super Bowl. They contend, but they don't contend like that. I do believe they will get better. Puka Nacua is a fucking beast. You got Cooper Kupp over there. Matthew Stafford, a healthy Stafford definitely can, kind of push for them to try to make the playoffs. I do believe the NFC West will at least produce 2 playoff teams, whether it be one in a wild card or a play-in, as they say, or possibly just 2 teams that are that damn good. Because our division is fairly competitive. The Rams were coming on strong toward the end of the season last year. We all know the Seahawks have made a little bit of improvement. Honestly, the only team in our division that we're kind of confused on where they're going and what they're actually going to do is the Arizona Cardinals. We don't really know their direction and what they really feel is going to be best for the team. But once again, I'll give everybody the QB rankings. It's very short, very sweet, very simple. Matthew Stafford, Brock Purdy, Geno Smith, Kyler Murray. Now, if you want to talk about different things between all 4 of those guys, athleticism, you've got to give it to Kyler Murray. He's the athletic guy. He's the one that can move, he can wiggle, he can run, he gets first downs. And to be honest with you, I'm going to tell you straight up, Brock Purdy has to be number 2 right behind him. Brock Purdy's got some wiggle in him. He can move. He's got enough speed to be able to get those things taken care of. The third guy, you'd have to go ahead and give it to Geno Smith. And the fourth guy, you'd have to give it to Stafford. Stafford's not running around. It's never been his thing. It's not his forte. And it's not what he really does. When you take a look at, a full body of work, Stafford is a passer. He's a true dyed-in-the-wool pocket guy. He stays in that pocket. He delivers the ball. He does what he needs to do. Every now and then he'll get out there and run, but it's extremely rare. As far as processing power, I'm going to have to get that to Brock Purdy. Everybody states that he is a great processor of information. Right behind him is going to have to be Matthew Stafford if we're talking about processing power. And then I'd say Geno Smith and probably Kyler Murray. The reason I can't give Kyler Murray too much on the processing power is because he can barely see over the goddamn offensive line, as short as he is. That's a hindrance for him, his height. So sometimes you'll see him peeking between the tackles, or getting out of the pocket or moving the pocket. Why? Because of his height. It's harder for you to be able to get the ball to somebody you can't see. So, if you get processing power, I'll give Brock that one. What I'm saying? You give the athleticism to Kyler Murray, but the overall winning since the Rams have won their Super Bowl, the overall winner. Hey, what's going on, man? Kyler can't process. What's going on, Joey? Kyler can't process his own homework. I get that. So basically, I would say when it comes to the overall quarterback, what you want, if I'm taking anybody out of this division and I'm saying, go win me a Super Bowl, get the job done, I know you can do it, I'm going to go with Brock Purdy. I'm not going with Geno Smith. I'm definitely not going with Kyler Murray. He hasn't even made the fucking playoffs, so he has no business in that conversation. I know a lot of people would say, how could you not choose Matthew Stafford? Here's the thing. Until Matthew Stafford came to LA, he had barely been in the playoffs. He had been a part of an 0-16 team, and Matthew Stafford had hella weapons in Detroit on numerous occasions. He was never able to get the job done. It wasn't until he came to LA, and LA was loaded with talent and everybody around, and then the defense was monstrous. Aaron Donald, all those things came into play, that Matthew Stafford magically wins the fucking Super Bowl. So I can't give that to him, knowing the circumstances of how he won his Super Bowl. Not saying that he didn't do anything to win it, but it definitely was a situation where he had all the cards stacked in his favor. You know what I'm saying? In Detroit, he didn't have those cards stacked in his favor. But at the end of the day, he still had an abundance of talent that he had. He had one of the greatest receivers of all time. It was Megatron, a.k.a. Calvin Johnson, who openly admitted he stopped playing football because he got tired of losing. And Detroit has done that to two of the greatest players in NFL history. And yeah, you can put Calvin Johnson in there because in the short span of time that we saw Calvin, this man was doing things that we had never seen in a very long time. And the other person that I'm talking about, obviously, is Barry Sanders. You know what I'm saying? Barry Sanders was locked into an ironclad contract. What's going on, Dave? An ironclad contract with the Lions, and he just couldn't get out. Do you know that Barry Sanders only had one offensive lineman ever go to the Pro Bowl in his whole tenure as a running back for the Lions? That's pathetic. That tells me the Lions never invested. They never wanted to get better, and that the Ford family could give two fucks. They just looked at Barry and said, "Well, you always make miracles happen. Just keep making miracles." But at the end of the day, when you look at the overall QB situation in our division, as far as the NFC West goes, strictly you got to go Stafford 1. You got to go Purdy 2, Geno Smith 3, Kyler Murray 4. Those are my rankings. That's what it is. That's what it's going to be. I'll be back with some more rankings for the other divisions in the NFC and AFC, and I'll also be back with the different position groups as well. Who's got the best wide receiver room? Who's got the best running back room? Who's got the best linebacker? Who's got the best D-line? We will go over all of that in separate videos and talk about that and get to the bottom of it and see what we can do. We may have a couple guests here or there to assist in those rankings and see exactly what we all think. But for right now, that's the QB rankings. I appreciate y'all for stopping in and hanging out with your boy. I know I've been on a little hiatus, but I'm going to get back to it, man. You just got to cut me some slack here, man. When a new job comes along and there's a lot of studying and learning that you have to do, you got to, I got to buckle down and focus. You know what I'm saying? Family ain't going to feed itself. I got to feed them. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for your time. And I'm out. Peace.